We begin today with Ernestine's favorite rip skip topic, which she started to go down the road already.
Yeah.
That's my game watching jinxes.
Jinxes. I did an entire chapter in my book, Bowls, How to Keep Your Relationship Alive When You Live with a Sports With That Guy, on jinxes. He has 1,000 jinxes and believes
She has learned them all because she has violated every single one of them.
Yeah. Walking into the room is a violation in this house.
This time, my dear wife, Ernestine, jinxed one of the greatest college football games ever. I am talking about Texas and Arizona State in overtime on New Year's Day. Wait till you hear this story. But, okay, you started, now finish.
Okay.
Tell the people why you scoff at, you even laugh at the jinxes I religiously observe every game.
Things. If he's watching a game and I walk into the room and his light is on and I turn the light off,
Done.
He makes me walk backwards to turn the light back on again.
Thank you.
Okay.
You learned that in our first year together,
first year.
Back in New York.
If I happen to say, oh, your team is winning, that's great. He said, you just jinxed me, now my team is going to lose.
Yeah, game over, I lost.
He has his favorite T-shirt that he has to wear if it's in the laundry.
It's her fault.
It's a nightmare. I have to take it out of the dirty laundry, and he puts it on even if it's dirty. And we go on and on and on.
Where's my cowboy hat? What did you do with my cowboy hat? Well, I put it over here.
10,000 other baseball caps.
Okay.
But yes.
Right.
I took the cowboy hat. Yes, and now your team's not going to win.
Okay.
Whatever.
And who is my favorite Buddha, as you call her?
Hazel is the Buddha.
Warrior princess.
That is until she is the bad Buddha and his game loses. And then Hazel gets ejected out and she comes sheepishly looking for me, and I know that his game is going south.
Right?
Yes, that is the truth.
Okay. But if you dare to, sometimes on a Sunday, you and your sister Joyce will take her for a walk, and you have to plan the walk.
I have to plan the walk
around my cowboy
game.
At
10 o'clock in the morning. No, before the 10 is the 10 o'clock game on Sunday. I say to him, when can I take Hazel walking? When is she allowed to go out? Like she's some kind of, she's going out. Her dad's not going to let her go out with the boyfriend. When can I take Hazel
1:15 after the early window game. We're out here in LA.
So we quickly have to walk Hazel around the complex, because if it's 1:14 and a half and I don't get her back, she can't go in the room, because
once you start watching games, what do I always tell you about the living room?
If you're going to watch the game, you cannot leave.
You can start.
You cannot go to the bathroom. You have to stay there. It's kind of like when I lived in New York and I occasionally would go to watch the ball fall in Times Square. They lock you up in a pen.
You get locked in the pen.
And you go there
can't
at
leave
12
the whole
o'clock
night
in the afternoon or 10 o'clock in the morning to get into Times Square, and they quickly lock you up, and you cannot leave until after the ball falls. So you have to.
By the way, if you can't tell, she's from New York. I'm from Oklahoma City. Maybe you can't tell from the accent, but that's.
Of course, I have an accent. He has no accent, but I do have an accent.
And understand, she went early on into our relationship knowing nothing about sports, except she played at high school football games in the marching band at halftime.
Clarinet. I was an excellent clarinet player. And
and Woody Allen, right?
Me and Woody Allen and Woody Herman.
And Woody Herman. There you go. I don't know anything about
clarinets,
clarinets, but I know all about sports.
Yes, I do know that. Yeah.
And I know all about what you did to me. I'm going to get to the all-time classic in a moment, but let's stay current.
Yes, current time.
Arizona State and Texas. I saw in The Athletic the other day, they ranked this game, not that you care, but they ranked this game as the second greatest college football postseason game, bowl game, playoff game in history, to one you'll vaguely remember. It was when we were living in a previous place, but out here in LA. It was my second year here. Yeah. And my Oklahoma Sooners, you know how much I love them.
I do know.
Featuring Baker Mayfield at quarterback, played out here in Pasadena in the Rose Bowl in the national semifinal against Georgia.
I don't
and
remember
it went
all these
double
games.
Overtime. And I was watching it in the living room, but you couldn't come in the living room because you didn't start the game.
We watch 1,000 games. How do I remember
But that was ranked by The Athletic as the number one all-time greatest college football finish.
They have to.
We lost, unfortunately.
Game.
She probably jinxed it somehow by walking through the living room.
Breathing.
But this was the second greatest college football game ever. And little did you know, because you don't keep up with this kind of thing.
No, I don't.
On my show, the Skip Bayless show,
Yeah.
I did predict that it was a stone cold lock for me to take Arizona State plus 13.5 points. I know you don't really get the point spread issues, but I said up front, on the record, give me Arizona State plus 13.5.
Right.
And I didn't feel real good about it. In fact, I tweeted about it early on because Texas immediately jumped out to, I think it was a 14-3 lead, and it just felt like it was going to be 40-3 before it was over. And then here came my cuddly little underdog, Arizona State, and put on one of the greatest shows ever. So it goes to overtime, and I've won my bet because you can't win an overtime game by more than, I guess, 8 if you go for 2. But you can't get to 13.5 in overtime or the game's going to be over before then. Okay, so I'm good on the bet, but now I have fallen head over heels in love with Arizona State, with Cam Scatterbo.
I know this. I'm in a different part of the house.
Okay, but I'm out of my mind for this game because it is as scintillating and exciting and over the top great as you can, because it was just one thing after another. In the fourth quarter, Arizona State roared back, and they're making play after big play, and it looked like Cam Scatterbo he vomited on the sideline because claimed
I'm about to vomit here.
But he claimed he had downed too much water, which I find hard to believe, and he just barfed it up. And then he kept taking himself out of the game because he had stomach issues. But then he would come back in, he threw a touchdown pass. It was pretty lucky, but he threw it. Then he ran for a big touchdown and just willed his way into the end zone. And I'm out of my mind. And Arizona State goes up 7 in overtime.
Okay.
And now Texas has to match that by scoring from the 25-yard line. They have to go score. She's lost on this, but it's okay.
This is like I'm in another country.
But they have to go.
Whatever.
They have to go score 7 points to force a second overtime. I think you get that.
I get it all. I've gotten it all.
So all of a sudden, this is the God's truth.
This is all I wanted to do.
Texas.
So minus all of this.
Okay. Texas gets forced into fourth down. It's the last down you get.
Yes, I get that.
And 13 yards to go, which is 3 more than usual, the 10 yards. Okay, so it's 4th and 13 from the 28-yard line, and it feels like it's about to be game over. And all of a sudden, guess what happens? Literally, just as the ball's about to be snapped, literally.
Here I am. All I do is every weekend there's a yogurt store here. It's like when I lived in New York, it was called Tasty Delight. People know what that it was. It was featured on Sex and the City. It was very famous. They don't have that out here. So I call whatever the yogurt store is out here Tasty. I go, do you want Tasty?
It's called the Big Chill.
It's called the Big Chill. Yeah, it's kind of famous.
On Olympic Boulevard, it's great.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Not as good as Tasty Delight in New York City.
Non-fat frozen yogurt. Okay.
So I usually go on a Saturday and I buy the new flavor, but they have like 7 flavors. So every weekend I say to Skip, hey, what flavor do you want? So I was just about to walk out the door. I had my handbag on my shoulder. And I said to myself, let me ask him what flavor he wants. So I just opened the door and I go.
She didn't knock.
No.
I'm in my man cave.
Yeah, he's in his man
cave. Yeah.
I go, hey, the flavors today are, and he goes, wait, stop. I didn't know what was going on.
Stop. No.
So I just quickly pulled the door back and I was like, I'm out of here. And I just walked out and I hear him cursing in the room.
I broke my New Year's resolution already.
That. Whatever. I'm losing the game. And I just got in my car and I left.
Okay. What happened?
Once again, the
jinx. Faithful fans will know.
Yes.
I got all-time jinxed because
I have power.
I'm slow motion watching the game. It's like the game for me slows down into slow motion on my screen. Mm-hmm. And Arizona State, Hazel, so she's going to sleep. She's
bored.
Yeah, she's had enough of this because she was there. She was at my feet. And she goes, Mom did it again.
Yeah.
It's like Arizona State went into slow motion because they were going to blitz, which means that they're going to send a whole bunch of guys after the quarterback. Okay. And they're going to leave some receivers open because they're going to get to the quarterback before he can get rid of the football, or at least force him to make a bad pass, and the game's going to be over. I like the call. I don't mind the gamble of the blitz, but somehow the whole group mistimes their blitz, and they get stuck on the snap count at the line of scrimmage where they all come to a halt, so nobody gets a running start at the quarterback.
Okay, but let me ask you. I am here in Los Angeles. How I can change a game in, where was this?
Atlanta. It's the Peach Bowl.
I need to immediately, I don't know who won if they won that $1 billion lottery. I need to immediately go and just fill out one, because that's all I have such magic powers that I can change the game.
And by the way,
just walking in the door.
The great irony of this conversation is, what do we laugh about was the first year I knew you.
Oh, God. It's going to go on forever in my head.
No, but
Tom Brady?
No. Oh. We got sent. My show, I was on Cold Pizza, and Woody Page and Jay Crawford and I got sent to a lot of college football sites where game day was camped.
Yeah.
And we would go for a Friday show. And so we went to South Bend and Blacksburg and where else we got? Tuscaloosa. And we went to Austin, Texas, to the University of Texas.
I remember.
And
I got hit by a car that weekend.
that was Notre Dame.
Other time. Oh.
Okay, but close enough.
I remember.
She survived. She was okay. She's tough.
Man. Yeah.
But I was given a University of Texas burnt orange and white ball cap.
Which I liked, and I took from you.
And she took it from me, and I hate Texas because I grew up an Oklahoma fan, and they're our arch blood rival.
Right, but I like the color.
And she liked the color, and I hate the color. I think it's the ugliest color in the history of color.
Please.
And she started wearing the hat.
It fit me well.
And we would walk down 8th Avenue in New York City on a Saturday morning or whenever it would be.
Yeah, I would get the horns. People would show me the horns.
They would walk by people and they'd go, hook them.
I thought they were just giving me the evil eye.
Yeah, and she had no idea. Then we started making jokes about
my team.
You graduated from Texas,
my alma mater.
My
alma mater's playing.
So you realize you won the game.
Yeah.
Who knows? You might have won the national championship for Texas.
Right.
By jinxing Arizona State.
I did a good thing for me.
Okay, so the blitz comes to a screeching halt at the line of scrimmage, and everybody's teetering at the line in slow motion. And then the ball gets snapped, and they just get stoned across the board.
But that was because of
everybody got blocked because you stopped. You made time stop.
Oh, my God.
To where
this is just
they got stopped in time, and they lost all their momentum, and Quinn freaking Ewers just stands back there with no pressure and nothing but time, and just flips a 28-yard touchdown pass to Matthew Golden, who's become his new star receiver, transfer from Houston. And it's like a gift. It's the sweetest, easiest touchdown pass you will ever see. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm going to lose because
I opened the door. It is the most.
But you couldn't have opened
of
all the game. These college games, especially with the 2 overtimes, it took 4 hours to play.
I know.
And how did you pick the exact precise moment? You couldn't have picked a worse moment to throw the door open and say, "Hey."
Because I have magic powers.
No, seriously, I think you do, and I think some evil force lurking in the back of your brain
says, "Hey, open the door now, and then you're going to really screw them up."
You got him.
I did it,
and you won the game. As God is my witness, help us, God. That happened. Did it not happen? Right on that time, and I went out of my mind.
Whether or not
I was just
if I didn't open the door, or I did open the door, it would be the same turnout. That's what I keep trying to explain to him. Just because I walk into a room, it would be the same ending to a game that if I didn't walk into the room. I don't know how you can't understand that.
I can't.
You can live. You keep living that world.
How many times have I told you?
Oh, I'm going to change the game.
Okay, how many times do I change a game or we turn it on in mid-game?
It just happens.
And I'm rooting for some team, and we've been to dinner or whatever, and I say, well,
and he says,
I'll
watch
pick
this.
Up.
I'm going to turn the TV on, and I'm going to change
turn the game.
Well, the odds are maybe it's a 50-50.
If my team is way down when I turn the game on, they will suddenly rally. Or if they're way up and I turn the game on, it's over.
It's it's a 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
It's not, you didn't have the power to change the game.
I do. And I've demonstrated, and I always call you on it, and I say, look at what just happened.
The odds will be that way.
Yeah.
You're either going, you're losing Hazel. It's either, yes, you will change the game because that's the way the game was going, or you're not going to change the game because that's the way that bottom line is, you don't have the power. And neither do I. No,
You have the power.
I do not have the power.
Okay.
If I had the power, man, if I had that power.
What happened? New England at Kansas City in the cold in the AFC Championship game. This was in early 2019. I am obviously rooting for Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. and the Patriots to win at Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And they're underdogs. And in my heart of hearts, I don't think they can win this game.
Right.
But with Brady, anything is
Here
always
I go
possible.
again. I have the power.
Okay. This was the all-time classic.
I have the power.
So New England, I forget if they took the opening kickoff, but they scored first. Mm-hmm. They're up 7-0, and they hold Patrick Mahomes, and they're driving again, and they drive all the way down to the 1-yard line. Mm-hmm. So they are on the doorstep of going up in the first quarter 14-0. And if they go up 14-0, I believe that stands up. Okay. I think Brady with the running game and the Belichick's defense, they could make that stand up even against Patrick Mahomes, even at Arrowhead. It's 3rd and goal at the 1. Right. So if you miss fire on this play, you might go for it, but you might early on just say, "Oh, we'll just take the field goal." So it's kind of the worst case scenario in my head is they'll fail and just say, let's just take 3. And just before the ball is snapped, right on schedule, before the ball is snapped, I'm in my man cave. We're in a different place that we were living in when we first got out here to LA.
Yeah. There she goes.
She blows through the door and says, "Hey, do you want?" And it was just irrelevant.
Your aunt sent you some FedEx came on a Sunday. It's
actually my third cousin. I don't know what she.
I don't know. It's a FedEx.
She rest in peace.
It's a FedEx, so I think it's important. So that's why I said, "Hey, you got this FedEx from?" No, that was even
screamed,
worse.
No. Yeah, and she stands in the doorway as I watch. It's okay. You gotta wait.
Yeah. Once again,
she stands in the doorway as Tom Brady of all-time great GOATs stands up with the football at the line of scrimmage, short drop, and throws it right to Reggie Ragland, who happens to play linebacker for the Kansas City freaking Chiefs.
It's not my fault
Tom Brady throws it. Yeah, he's just the greatest player ever. And he throws it right to the Chiefs linebacker in the end zone. A cardinal sin turnover that I don't know if he's ever done that in his life.
It's Tom Brady's fault, not my fault. If he's throwing to the wrong team, it's not my power. It's his arm.
Okay. But I figured that was a game loser. And that was the most classic all-time jinx. But because you did cease and desist and you backed out,
Jinx
you took
rewound.
the jinx away.
It's like Bewitched, the TV show.
Yeah.
I rewound, and I never came in that doorway, and everything was okay.
Everything was. You blinked. You squinched your nose up like.
I wiggled my nose like
Samantha.
Yeah, Samantha.
Yeah, I love Samantha.
I know.
It's my favorite all-time interview in my history of interviews.
Elizabeth Montgomery.
I got to actually interview Elizabeth Montgomery when I was doing a story out here when I was at the LA Times soon after college.
She was in that movie with OJ.
She was in a TV movie, and they were playing like buddy cops who were. Yeah. It was called, ominously, A Killing Affair. Killing Affair, and she looked like
Bewitched.
But no, she looked like OJ's wife. She looked a lot like Nicole.
It was terrible.
And I don't know if they were having something or not, but people on the set were winking at me like maybe. But Elizabeth Montgomery, who I was just
gaga,
like smitten with, because I grew up watching Bewitched.
Who wouldn't? She was gorgeous.
I didn't grow up watching it. It came a little
later. But she was beautiful.
She was just stunning.
Just
and
gorgeous.
She agreed to step outside her trailer and just lean up against the fence there and chat with me for like 15 minutes about OJ's acting ability.
Wow.
And she was very demure and quiet. I think she was a little intimidated by any media where I'm going to be careful with what I'm saying. But she was nice.
Wow,
and,
she was beautiful.
I was just fumbling and bumbling and stuttering questions out because of all of my interviews in the history of my career.
Yeah.
That was the most overwhelming moment of my career
Wow.
was Elizabeth Montgomery.
She came to life.
I've interviewed Muhammad Ali and every famous football coach, Tom Landry and
Right.
Bill Walsh and Don Shula and, Magic Johnson and Joe Namath, and I could go on, but nothing compared to my interview with Elizabeth Montgomery.
She was bewitched.
Okay, and I was bewitched by you with the all-time jinx.
Okay, time out.
Time out?
Time out.
Okay, but
it's insane.
Okay, I just demonstrated 2 all-time moments in which you picked the moment to change the game.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that would happen no matter what. Whether I walked into a room or I didn't walk into a room, Tom Brady would still throw to the wrong.
You impacted. It's like the butterfly flaps its wings in the jungle in, Africa somewhere, or in South America. Tunisia, right? And that somehow creates a tidal wave in Japan. Right,
that's me. Tidal wave.
That's what happened. You created a tidal wave because you can't pick the moment any worse. That had to be.
I know everyone out there.
You created the worst moment in Tom Brady's playoff career.
Yeah, I did. Why don't you blame it on him? Maybe he didn't practice enough before the game.
All he did was won 7 out of 10 Super Bowls.
Talk to him. Talk to the hand. It was his hand that did it. So I'm sure everybody has jinx stories.
On your hand.
Yeah, the blood was on my hand.
Right.
Every guy especially has jinx stories, so they could write in and tell us what their jinx stories were.
By the great Tom Brady, because later in the game it did go to overtime. Yeah. The Patriots, thanks to Matthew Slater, their special teams demon and leader, they called heads because you can talk about jinxes, but playoff coin flips, it's always heads. Yeah. Even though it's a 50-50 proposition, heads or tails.
Yeah.
You have to call heads. Yeah. This year, Baker Mayfield lost an overtime because he called tails. So I think Matthew Slater called it heads. It was heads. Brady got the ball, and he faced 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 10. I know you don't quite get how the rules work, but you have to convert that. You have to get at least 9, then 10, then 10. Yeah. Because on 4th down, especially in the first 2 series of the downs, you're going to have to punt and give Mahomes the football, right? And Mahomes is probably going to go score and end the game.
Yeah, I get.
Because then he'd only need a field goal because the Patriots got the first crack at it. Okay.
Maybe Giselle at the time walked out of another room at his house and turned the game back for him.
Okay, because he converts 3 straight 3rd and longs to Edelman to Gronk. And then they run the ball with Burkhead down and score it, and the game is over, and I'm out of my mind. I am dancing in my man cave because Ernestine has been
She's been eliminated with that jinx because
you have been foiled again.
Maybe she gave the good jinx, which was to undo the bad jinx that I did. You never know. She had power too. She was married to him.
Okay. But at least you've come to at least respect the power of the jinx. And for the most part, until you blunder in wanting to know what flavor I want. And
it was an innocent.
Ruin the greatest college
what flavor
game ever.
do you want?
Yeah.
No. And then I just decided for myself what flavor I will be buying. Okay. And I also decided I will never ask you again. So
Thank you.
You'll be surprised every time you go to get a taste.
All right. Case closed.
Yeah.